Iranian cruise missile, the Soumar and the Hoveizeh. The Soumar missile, which is estimated to operate at a range up to 3,000 kilometers, a distance which would hold U.S. Navy carrier strike groups at risk. Iran does produce several long-range cruise missiles of relevance to any possible carrier threat to the U.S. Navy in the Middle East. While they are primarily a threat for the Persian Gulf and Strait of Hormuz closer to Iranian coastline, it is realistic they could also threaten Israel and portions of the eastern Mediterranean from Iran, or its proxy attack locations throughout the region. The Chinese DF-26 reportedly hits ranges out to 2,000 miles and attacks with some precision. So how comparable are fast-evolving Iranian equivalents? An interesting research essay published by Iran Watch lists two new, testing and possibly deployed long-range Iranian cruise missile, the Soumar and the Hoveizeh. The Soumar missile, which is estimated to operate at a range up to 3,000 kilometers, a distance which would hold U.S. Navy carrier strike groups at risk. The Hoveizeh is potentially more current as it is described as a variant of the Soumar family, and capable of hitting targets out to 839 miles. Perhaps of greatest significance, the Hoveizeh is cited as a precision weapon able to use inertial navigation systems to hit targets to within as little as 1 meter of accuracy. This claim may or may not be true, yet IN's technology of this kind does seem to exist. The Hoveizeh also operates in sea-skimming mode like many anti-ship cruise missiles in order to fly below the radar aperture and avoid detection while en route to a target. How dangerous are these missiles? In order to be able to project power from the ocean over large portions of the Middle East, U.S. Navy carriers would ideally not want to be further than a few hundred miles off the coast, so aircraft can conduct sorties within their operational range, have some dwell time over target, and be able to return without refueling. The origin of the Soumar appears to be from the nuclear-capable Russian Kh-55. In 2005, Russia acknowledged that 12 Kh-55s, without nuclear warheads, were illegally sold to Iran in 2001 through a black market counterfeit operation. A Center for Strategic and International Studies missile threat essay explains, there are still several key unknowns here, such as the extent to which Iran has its production and technological capacity to produce, maintain and upgrade these missiles. Are there large numbers of Soumars? And what kind of arsenal does the Iranian military have? Perhaps most of all, what kind of guidance systems might the Soumar missile have? Can it track moving targets? Is there a level of precision? Does the Hoveizeh truly operate with a kind of IN's precision out to ranges of 839 miles? If true, the weapon would appear to place U.S. carriers at risk from a number of Middle Eastern coastal locations of possible use by Iranian proxy forces. Regardless, there is a strong reason to think U.S. Navy carrier strike groups would be well positioned to destroy, defend against or simply stop incoming Soumars in flight. Can U.S. Navy F-35Cs reach Iran and enemy land targets in Middle East? An F-35C, for example, is the longest-range F-35 variant, and can operate at ranges of 2,200 kilometers. Roughly speaking, it would need to take off from a carrier less than 1,000 kilometers 500 miles offshore in order to attack and return, without needing to refuel. Therefore, if Iran has long-range anti-ship missiles able to travel as far as 2,000 to 3,000 kilometers, then carriers launching F-35Cs might need to operate within their strike range in order to launch air attack missions unless there were sufficient available refueling tankers. Using tankers, however, is not uncomplicated because, as large non-stealthy aircraft, refuelers would be quite vulnerable to enemy fire, and possibly put fighter jets at risk as well. There are always a number of variables able to impact the equation regarding range and vulnerability, depending upon where fighter jets are planning to attack on land, and how much time they need over targets. If large manned tankers too vulnerable, there could be the possibility of a carrier-launched unmanned MQ-25 Stingray refueler drone, a more survivable and now operational drone tanker. There is a lesser-known part of this equation which might account for why the US Navy remains clear that it can operate carriers wherever it needs to, regardless of new or emerging threats. The reason is clear: improved ship defenses.